Hi everyone. As you know, our event in January had to be cancelled, but instead we're having a shorter online event on January the 16th. It will be a bit different to a stream, a bit more intimate, and we'll have some nice guests and presentations lined up for you. There are still some spaces left, so why not book now? And of course, if you're artistically inclined, you can submit Amiga-made music or art for our competition that will be held on the day. Visit amigausers.ie for both of those and enjoy the show. Welcome to the December episode of Amiga Ireland. I'm Irla.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Luke.
And in today's episode, the Amiga Show, a brand new channel about Amiga and created entirely on Amiga. An amazing show, very high quality.
There's a new Amiga magazine as well, it's ready to launch.
Outrage, a great platformer with a 30-year-old history in the background.
Ooh, very nice. So all this and a lot more coming up in our news, gaming section and discoveries. But first, lads, it's been a month. How have you been?
Yeah, the usual. Can't believe it's December. It's crazy. My wife and son have headed off until Christmas at least, or after Christmas. So I've been having a lot of catch-ups with all the old repairs and stuff that I have lying around the place. So yeah, clearing my backlog and also fixing all the things around the flat that need to be fixed. So keep myself busy day and night.
It's been a long day and a long month. I've been helping my daughter prepare for her exams tomorrow. So we did 2 hours of business studies just before there. So if I sound a bit lobotomized, it's just the way I feel after doing a subject that neither of us enjoy. And also, like, we're all locked down here. We're working from home. And the apartment below us has changed hands. So it's been a month of constant drilling and sawing and hammering. I started to think they're opening a restaurant in there or something. You know, there's just one guy working away there the whole time, so it's slow and agonizing. But but I've actually gotten more Amiga time, so I've been doing a lot of Lightwave 3D, catching up on Muad'Dib's tutorials online, which are absolutely excellent. If you're not following them, you should follow. Whether you just want to watch or you want to try it out, it's honestly the learning curve for it is really good compared to other things like music maybe. Also, there was a really good workshop for the run by the Computer Museum of Ireland, and it was Rob, your good self, that hosted that actually.
yeah it was an experience.
The youngest person at it was 8 years old and the oldest person at it was 80 years old. Amazing, yeah, and they loved it. Everybody's asking for more, Rob, so I don't know, you might have to change your address or your name or something.
Sure, we give it a go. Like I said, when the wife and kid aren't here, it's plenty of time for these things.
Yeah. And I've discovered that, having a Commodore 64 emulator open on your desktop is the handiest calculator going. You can quickly do along some, with multiplications and divisions and things in brackets. And it's actually easier than using, say, the typical calculator that comes on your laptop, because you can see the whole formula or equation. Like, strange that it's
nice, very nice.
Yeah, it's more useful that way. Yeah, so it's kind of been a fun month. How about you, Luke? How's it been?
The month goes by, and I just as well can't believe it's gone so quickly, to be honest, And I've been just very busy with my day job, because I work, on a regular basis. I'm a key worker, and Retro Ready consumes all my actually free time as well. So there you go. That's that. It goes very quick.
Yeah, that's what it takes if you want to be retro ready.
Yes, that's what it takes if you would like to be retro ready.
Good stuff.
It's a very good advertising slogan, actually.
Yeah, just you need a picture of Luke packaging in the middle of the night.
Yeah, very catchy as well.
And we've got a special guest with us again this month, introducing Stormkeeper, aka Andrew, who's been to Amiga Ireland many times as well. Andrew, thanks so much for coming on to join us. It's great to chat to you again.
It's great to be here and chat with you too.
The last time we saw you was January. a long time ago. A lot has happened. It feels like more than a year, doesn't it? Well, it does to me.
Yeah, I've been joking about how 2020 feels more like a decade than a year.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree entirely. Andrew runs a Twitch stream, among other themes, which is called, I think, is it called Stormkeeper?
Yeah, Stormkeeper GU.
Stormkeeper GU. Yeah, okay. So we can catch your streams there from time to time. I know I watched what you doing. I think it's a Doom playthrough at one stage on that.
I think it was a while ago, actually. I'm actually on a break now till like the 11th of January because I need to rejig a few things and finally upgrade my computer. So I thought I'd better take a break.
Hopefully, the next time we meet, it'll be under better circumstances than collective quarantine like we are now. Okay, let's move on to the news. The Amiga Show is a brand new Amiga channel about Amiga and created on Amiga. This is honestly the most enjoyable thing I have seen on YouTube in a long time. So this show really captures the spirit of when the Amiga was first launched, or where we would have first encountered it. And the presenter starts out this show looking at Andy Warhol painting Debbie Harry, and then attempts the same process himself, which was just such a clever thing to try. And he got really good results as well, actually. It's well worth a watch. The show covers, other applications that were influential at the launch time. And then he goes on to review two games. One of the games, so when I think of Amiga games, I think of the classics, like, I think of Turrican 2 and Monkey Island, Flashback, Frontier Elite, Lotus, that kind of stuff. But what he actually did here was he got one of the older more games that came out originally, and he got then a very modern game and kind of reviewed them one after the other, and it was just such a different way to look at the games. And it was just, I really, really enjoyed the show. It's called The Amiga Show by Anthony Jarvis, who actually also edits this podcast. And it's well worth, if you haven't seen it, check it out. The quality is absolutely amazing. And knowing what it's like to do even simple tasks on Amiga, it must have taken ages.
Absolutely. Amiga Addict magazine has hit its pre-order target. So we've talked about this, I think, last month, and they were trying to get 500 orders together so that they could publish their first edition, and they've hit that target. So now they're expecting to ship the first issue just in time for Christmas. So that's great news. And looking forward to that one. So it's like an actual printed magazine. It's the first one in the UK since Amiga Active, which is close to 20 years ago. Yeah, there's a lot of new publishing stuff in the works, new information coming out and in all different media for the Amiga. So great to see.
Amos roadmap has been announced for 2021. Amos is just like BASIC, I think. It's some sort of a BASIC language, and it's including Vampire and enhanced graphic and sound operations. Have you ever tried Amos, guys? Because I haven't, to be honest. I wasn't into programming, actually.
I use it a little bit. I was not too pleased with it. I
know that you like Blitz Basic. I remember.
Yeah, that's it. Now I tried both of them back in the day, and I was like, well, there's Blitz is the way I'm going to go here. But they're definite. It's a sort of more like a sort of an almost like a sandbox kind of BASIC. It doesn't really deal with the OS. It sort of it sort of sits in its own little interpreter, and it's great for doing a particular type of thing like that. That's let's say back in the day it was sort of making the for animating graphics and stuff like that, making all that stuff sort of automated in it, which is good. But it's very tied to its own little thing. Like you can't do a system requester, for example, and things like that. So it has its pros and cons. I went the Blitz direction, but a lot of people went the Amos direction, and there are plenty of games out there, especially if you look at Amiga. That are Amos coded. Yeah. So that's there's been a lot of work going into it recently with AGA support and now Vampire support and stuff as well, which is so there were a lot of fans of it, and so I'm looking forward to seeing some new stuff in the next while.
Yeah, I think a lot of new games actually have been written in Amos nowadays. For example, there's a new version of Barbarian Plus, and there's a game in the making, like a dungeon crawler. I don't remember. It's Shadow of Said Goth. That's the new game, and it's in the making. It's also in the Amos, and there's some sort of a similar game to Hired Guns as well, written in Amos. But just like you said, it doesn't have that fluidity of, I think, Assembler. But on the other hand, Assembler is much more difficult to learn, to master.
And that's it. Like I'm saying, it does a lot of things sort of for you as well. Like, double buffering and animation. It has sort of commands to specifically support that sort of thing. So you don't really have to code it yourself. Like even in Blitz, you have to pretty much do that yourself. So, so it's nice. It's somewhere between a construction set and Blitz, let's say. So it ticks a lot of boxes in both of them.
Okay, so Retro Games Limited teases a potential Amiga Mini for next year. Now, I kind of got this from the original article that they are saying that it looks like the Amiga 500. Then I actually looked at the Facebook page that they're making, and it does actually look like it's the silhouette of an Amiga 500. So, it'd be interesting to see what they do with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they did the C64 remake there a while ago.
Yeah, the C64 remake. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The big version and the VIC-20 as well.
Yeah, which was cool by all accounts. They were also involved in the Spectrum Vega, which is less cool. So, but we wait and see. I wouldn't put pre-orders in yet, but wait and see. It could be interesting.
Chrono has had an updated release on OS4, Morphos, and Aros. Actually, a very interesting application. It basically lets you print out a calendar to paper or to PDF, and you can add your own photos. You can choose from different layouts, modify them, and the interface supports 24 languages. So that's pretty nice, actually.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think. Obviously the PC had a lot of these, but it's good to see that the Amiga's getting something, that's comparable.
So there's it's not quite the same thing, but there's the graphics publisher that came with TurboPrint back in the day was incredible, and I still don't have anything as simple on the PC or as straightforward to use for basically laying out pictures on a page and printing them. It just doesn't exist. There are a lot of programs that do that kind of thing, but they're either too clunky or too all over the place at what they're doing. And this program was just brilliant, and it's it's amazing that these little things show up on the Amiga, and you kind of wow, that's a very useful little thing. Okay, and it's more hardware now. Amiga Kit have teased a new RAM board for the Amiga 1200. So this is an 8 meg RAM board, but it also has a nice little trick that it does a flash RAM or a flash kickstart on it and a flash module effectively. So this thing, there have been Zorro cards that have done this before, and what they do is they allow you to load modules in. So it comes with software, and you can load modules from disk, and then it stores them on the card, and they take the place of the kickstart modules. So you can effectively soft kick your Amiga permanently, if you like, because this is, as soon as you switch it on, it boots from the modules that are on this card. So that's a nice setup for people if you want a custom kickstart, but if the onboard CPU is enough for you, if it's a decent WHD load machine, and it's an interesting concept. I know there was a concept for a flash kickstart board as well that plugged into the kickstart sockets, but this one just goes all in the trapdoor that you don't need to go taking the machine apart to use it or to fit it. So interesting.
Yeah, very nice. I think that might have been on display at Amiga Ireland in January. Is that right?
Might miss that.
I don't know. They did have just a normal RAM board that looks very similar.
Okay. Yeah,
so I don't know if that might be it, because that
might be a newer version, I think.
Yeah, it might be an update of that has the flash chip on it. Yeah. Because it's only recently that I heard about this.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think they've only recently teased with some screenshots or something.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, maybe last week.
Twit Amiga has been updated to follow the new Twitter API changes. The latest version is 4.4.1. And this is a really nice Twitter client. It's probably the only one on Amiga, as far as I know. I haven't used it in quite a while, but actually I must go back to it because it is the reason that I used Twitter more than anything else, because it meant I could use the Amiga at the same time. So I'm definitely going to revisit that probably directly after this recording ends.
Dev Icons Dump 1.0. It's a very useful tool that shows what project tools are associated with a file, and I presume that you just associate it with like a set of icons, like for example zip or LHA or mod or MP3, and then after that you just double click it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how it works. I don't actually know the Dev Icons Dump myself, because there's like OS4 comes with a preferences program that just lists them all. So I don't really know what this does because it sounds like it's just, shows you what's associated, and you can see that in the preference window. I don't know. I'll check it out and see. There you go.
It sounds a little like a dependency walker for Windows, where it actually tells you what application you need to run a particular file extension.
Well, yeah, it's like Dev Icons has been part of
system for quite
OS
some time.
3.9, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, I believe it's going to be in OS 3.2 as well. There you go. But it's it has a preferences file, and you because you don't have associations with a particular program as such. But you do, as in it's not the extension, it's the icon, and then you associate the icon with something. But the icon will have its default program. I just I don't know. I'll have to check it out and see what it actually does, because it's puzzling, because I thought that functionality was already there. But cool.
And last item in our news section before we move on, Hex Show 1.4 has been released. It adds more columns to the display, faster scrolling through large amounts of code, and it's now 1 kilobyte smaller. So that's actually quite a substantial update if you need that. It integrates to your file manager, and you can view your files basically as hex if that's something you want to see. Pretty cool. And with that, we move on to the games. Super Sprint AGA by Graham Cowie is nearing completion. The video posted on YouTube, I have to say, looks fantastic. The colours are really good. It's a direct arcade port, and it's been coded from scratch by Graham, who also created Bomb Jack Beer Edition and Rygar AGA. It will be 3-player and possibly support netplay as well. That was one of the intentions actually when working on it. So pretty snazzy to get all that done in one summer, spring.
Cool. AmiSignix game pack has been updated. So that's, if you're not familiar, AmiSignix is a sort of it's like an X Windows environment for OS4, and lets you run basically direct ports of Linux stuff natively on OS4, or semi-natively as such. So it's compiled for PowerPC and all that, but it runs in the X Windows toolkit. But there's a pack of games, and it's been updated with a couple of new games in there as well. And these are, the kind of games you get with the Linux installation. There are a lot of card games and puzzle games and Othello type games. That those kind of games. But I think there's 24, 25 of them in the pack, and all good, good desktop games. So if you have AmiSignix, you have OS4, definitely check them out.
Astro Blocks Revisited. Astro Blocks is a very nice clone of Sokoban. The graphics been updated, the music's been updated as well, and there are a lot of new logical, let's say, mysteries to be solved. The game has been written in assembler, and it's been written from scratch by Paweł Iwan Nowak, Zbigniew Pipil Pożoga, and Jakub Eisman Shalong. And if you like logical games, why not have a look then?
Okay, so there's an Amber Moon open source remake on the PC that's currently under development. I only recently discovered this, but I'm aware that Amber Moon, is obviously on the Amiga, has been well known on the Amiga, and obviously there was a DOS version. But I don't know a huge amount about it yet, but I thought I'd at least mention it in case it would be of interest.
Yeah, that is interesting. It's kind of nice to see these newer versions that kind of harken back to the Amiga days become accessible on the hardware we're using at the moment, maybe more immediately. And another example of that is Lunark. I just caught this a few days ago. It's a 2D cinematic platformer, okay, and it's described as being in the vein of 80s and 90s classics, where you run, jump, hang, climb, roll, and shoot your way through mysterious alien ruins, a flying penitentiary, high-tech megapolis, and a majestic forest. If this sounds familiar to you, it should. It is Flashback in all but name.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it one way it just makes me want to go back and play Flashback, but I think I'd also like to play this interpretation of it too. The graphics are very much reminiscent of Flashback on Amiga 2. The way the character moves, the way the character is dressed, the vehicles, all that stuff. So if you enjoyed Flashback and felt like there was never really a decent sequel to it, I would say this is worth checking out.
Wiz has been released, so this is a very nice looking platformer for AGA Amigas, and that has been released recently, and there's a boxed version on the way, and that should be released very, very soon. This, like I said, it's a lovely looking platformer, that's made to use the power of the AGA machines, and there's a CD32 image as well as the A1200, the standard image that you can get. So you can go to the website there, and there's a playable demo you can download as well. Give it a look.
Zgred version 1.3.1 has been released, and it is also available for download from a Polish Amiga portal, PPA. And it's another logical game from Project 3D team, so the guys have been already mentioned, some of the guys have been already actually mentioned today with the Astro Blocks Revisited, but this one is also available as a boxed game, but if you'd like to try it first, you can download it from a Polish Amiga portal.
Okay, so Funfair Inc., which is a theme park clone by Arlasoft, releases sometime in December. Now, this is essentially on the C64, and I had a look at it literally about an hour ago, and actually at the time I did it, but the graphics look really reminiscent of theme park, so it's really impressive to see, something of that level actually on a Commodore 64.
Yeah, very good.
Very nice.
Heart of Darkness has been ported to the Amiga. Now, if you don't know this, it's a very nice looking platformer from mid-90s. I'm pretty sure it was on the PlayStation 1 and the Saturn, those kind of machines.
I think it's just PC and PlayStation 1 actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. The main thing was to develop this game for CD32. But in the meantime, there was also a version for SNES, as far as I remember. And then Saturn, and then in the end it was just the PC and then PlayStation 1, unfortunately.
Yeah. So it's a very nice looking game. Lots of colors involved, and it's kind of it's the kind of thing that's just like, a little bit beyond reach of the Amiga. So, to be fair, the port is probably not, or it's definitely not optimized for the Amiga either, but you need a lot of horsepower to run this. Like, think, unless you have a Vampire or an 060 or an emulator, you don't bother. It needs all the power you can give it, but hopefully there'll be some optimizations to that, because it's probably running on SDL or something like that, which is a very, very hefty lot of baggage to be carrying around. But but if you have the power to run it, give it a go, or give it a go in UAE if you like, because it looks amazing.
Oh, it's absolutely an amazing game, man. I remember reading about it in the magazines back in the day, and I was really excited to being released at that time. And even now, when it finally or eventually got released for Amiga with a really just like you said, hefty requirements. As far as I remember, it requires at least 96 megabytes of RAM. This first version, and then even with like a basic 060, you get like 4 or 5 frames per second. This is from what I've seen on YouTube, but it's not that bad if you've got it your 060 clocked to at least 80 megahertz. It's a bit better. And then with Warp, of course, because the very like a fast memory. I think they've got DDR3 down there, so it runs absolutely smoothly. And of course, it runs absolutely smoothly on Vampire.
Mm-hmm.
So still, I know that there are some people who have like a vampires in their Amigas. So this game absolutely smashes it, and it works absolutely perfectly. And then Warp is in the making, so hopefully we'll get some more users.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, this game is really, really worth checking out. I think we've forgotten to mention one thing. This game was actually written by the same guy who wrote Another World, Eric Chahi. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
there you go.
It's the very same person.
There are definite vibes there. Definite vibes. Yeah.
You can feel it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can
that
feel
a
it.
lot.
So yeah, you can feel it. And it was written, the destination platform was CD32 first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? That's the thing.
Go.
Right, let's move on then. Outrage is a very, very nice platformer in a Hawkeye style, and it's nearly completed. Actually, the game has got a long history. It started first, in the 1990, and after 2 years of development, it's ceased. But then there's a whole event of things that happened to the development. There's a story about it, or behind it actually, in the description notes, so why not have a look? The game is nearly ready to be released. It looks absolutely great. I don't know how it sounds actually, because I haven't heard it. I've seen the screenshots and it looks really, really good. And if you like games like Flimbo Quest on C64 or previously mentioned Hawkeye, then definitely worth checking and definitely worth purchasing. Outrage by Cosmos Design.
Okay, so this is a literal last-minute edition, but I recently found out about a Doom mod called Project Osiris, which is essentially Alien Breed 3D for Doom, and it was updated there on the 10th of October.
Right. Last thing today is a game called Tristram Island. It's a new text adventure game by an author who previously released text adventure games like, for example, Hibernated. It's pure text. It's pure adventure in the style of Zork or any other games of the 80s. So if you like those games, if you like adventures, if you like typing the commands actually instead of point and click style, then why not have a look?
One thing that does interest me about this is that it's available for I think it said 26 other systems.
That's the thing that's very
awesome.
That's very particular with this author. He tries to publish his games, his text adventure games, on as many possible platforms as possible. So it's like a C64, Atari, Spectrum, Amiga, Macintosh, PCs, DOS, anything. You name it, he's gonna write for that.
Brilliant.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really like that idea that you can send a text message to your buddy on the Spectrum and say, hey, how did you get past this bit?
Yeah?
Okay. Let's move on to discoveries. Okay, my first discovery this month is that a game called Iridium 2 on the iOS App Store. Now, I've been playing Iridium 2 on Amiga. It's an amazing game. I suppose you'd call it a side scroller where you're moving. It's kind of unique that you're moving over and back across the same kind of battlefield, which is the exterior of a spaceship that you're trying to destroy. The graphics are fantastic in the game, and it's also mixed up a bit where you land your ship So you land your little ship on the larger ship, and you kind of go inside and try and destroy the core and get some bonuses while you're at it, and then you take off as the ship explodes. Really, really good game. This game on the iOS store, it definitely pales in comparison to the Amiga version. I would say there's almost no comparison. It's more like the original Iridium game, which was much more simplified, simpler graphics. The controls are perfect. There's no destruction sequence, say, at the end of the level on this either. But if you have an itch to scratch that is Iridium shaped or in nature on your phone, this is the only way to do it on iOS anyway.
Yeah, Iridium 2 is fantastic. It is. It's kind of gets forgotten. There's a lot of people talk about a lot of the other shooters, but it'd be one of my favorites now. Okay, one of my discoveries this month is not strictly Amiga related, or not Amiga related at all, to be fair. But the documentary, well, it's sort of a documentary, but it's a film called Micromen, and it's basically it's a really sort of nicely done film, basically telling the story of the British home computer industry. So back in the 80s. So you're talking the start of the ZX Spectrum. There are the ZX80, ZX81. The start of that, the whole and the whole thing between them and Acorn computers, which are obviously the Electron, the Atom, and the BBC Micro, and then onto other things then. But it's a really fun film, actually, and a great way of telling the story in a sort of it's a funny way, and it's a nice way. And like I kind of heard about this, and it's about 10, 11 years old now, and it was a BBC made thing, and you can't get it anywhere. But every time someone talked about it, I thought, I'll have to watch that. But it turns out that it's on YouTube, so we put a link there in the show notes to the full film, and watch it. And yeah, myself and the wife sat down and watched it there the other night, and she loved it. So that'll tell you she's not a nerd. So that'll tell you it's kind of it's a nice appeal for everyone. But it has Martin Freeman and who plays Clive Sinclair? Oh,
I've seen the movie as well, but I don't remember now.
Oh, it's your man from Pointless, Alexander Armstrong. Yeah, there you go, and it's bizarre. It's very well done. It's a lovely film.
It's a very good one. I've seen it, yeah, as well. I can recommend it.
When I saw this
I do too.
When I saw this in the show notes, I thought it said Mr. Men documentary, and I was thinking, what does this have to do with Amiga? Yeah, there you guys think. Was there a really good Mr. Men game on the Amiga that I didn't know about? Okay.
There's one on the C64 as well, isn't there?
There was definitely a game I played on something. I can't remember what platform though, yeah.
But yeah, I watched Micromen. I think it's earlier this year. I think I actually saw it on the archive.org rather than YouTube. But no, it is a really good film. I try to watch it at least once a year.
Yeah, it's great.
Right. Here comes another one. There's a gallery of loads of Winamp skins which also work with Amiga Amp. So Amiga Amp still is in the making. Do you know that the Amiga Amp still gets its updates, even though Winamp doesn't, actually? And then I remember it used to be one of my favorite ones, actually, Amiga Amp, and I used it a lot. So if you like something like updates, upgrades, a little bit of tinkering, why not have a look? Maybe you like some of those skins.
The Amiga 1200 had its 28th anniversary back on the 21st of October, which obviously I only just discovered. And just to also add in, the C64 had its 38th anniversary back in August.
Mm.
And another discovery of mine for this month is that Mr. King of ScoopX, okay, that demo group and cracking group, he got busted for using fake stamps to send floppy disks way back in 1994.
Oh dear.
I just thought that was hilarious. So I've been reading a few disc mags, and just to see kind of, what were they all about. So basically they in each of these magazines they've kind of got a report of what's going on. It's a bit kind of weird actually looking back. It's kind of who got kicked out of what group or all this kind of stuff, who's left a group and moved to another group, and so basically you always know who's in what group, and it's almost like hacker genealogy, or Demo Senior's genealogy tree. But yeah, I just thought that scene was hilarious. That story was hilarious, getting busted for using fake stamps to send floppy disks to your buddies for a disc mag.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it seems it was common from the other magazines I've read. It seems to be quite common, actually. One of them had an article about the different ways to fake stamps.
Cool. Now, and this discovery, got a hat tip to Nivrig Games for this one. But this is something I saw a while ago as well. It's amazing. This is basically a DIY computer using the 68,000 CPU. So the same CPU as the 500 and the basis of all the Amigas. But this is fully open. You can buy your own boards and design your own boards for it. So basically you have your CPU and the core of the computer on a board, and then you can fit a backplane to it with loads of sort of add-on connectors, so you can put other boards on there for doing different things. You can build your own boards for plugging into it and doing all sorts of things. It's a real sort of DIY computer for all the hardware hackers out there, and just I think this is amazing, and there's a Tindy shop, and you can buy the board itself, or you can buy all the different add-ons for it, and this is brilliant. It's a dream. If I had the time now, I'd be all over that.
Yeah, just look at the link now. It does look quite impressive. I mean, admittedly, I don't actually know how to solder right now, so I'd have to wait a bit before I'd actually attempt to build it.
I should point that out. Yeah, it does come as a kit. All the boards are kits, so it's not like it's not like putting a PC together where you buy a graphics card, you buy your CPU, and you buy your motherboard. You buy them, but they're all kits, so you have to solder all the parts down and then plug them together and hope they work. But that's it's designed for people who are going to solder together and who are going to add on their own sound cards or build their own AD converters and their own relay boards, that kind of stuff. That's what it's made for, and it's an amazing learning experience as well as anything else for the for computer architecture.
It's actually pretty cheap as well, considering a lot of these kind of projects usually hit the, it says $40 here, but they usually tend to be around the $100 mark, don't they?
Yeah, it's definitely, it's definitely in the sort of impulse buy kind of level of things, which is dangerous.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so my next discovery is something called Z-Gloom or Z-Gloom, depending where you're from. And it's a re-implementation of Gloom for more modern OSs. The last release was 0.3.0 back at the end of May.
Okay, that's nice. So that would be the likes of OS 4 and stuff like that. Still cool. Bear Ed is a text editor for Amiga, and when I was looking up text editors on Amiga because I wanted something particular, I wanted multiple documents simultaneously and stuff like that, I was looking at this and I found a very funny bug in it. So this is the August 2010 release of Bear Ed 0.10. He says, fixed a very ugly bug that led potentially to a wait of 138 years before returning control to the user.
Oh, sure.
Nice.
Amazing.
Yeah. If for the first time a cursor key was used to scroll text lines out of the displayed area and the key repeat delay was smaller than the page took to be displayed, if you can follow this, a mathematical subtraction caused Bear Ed to wait for 138 years.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, so he says, sorry for what seems to be the cause of random lockups, but it's fixed now. So there you go. It's safe to try Bear Ed again if you've given up on it in the past.
Is it really a lockup though if it comes back to you after 138 years?
That's true. I was just processing.
Yeah.
Just processing, man.
You'd definitely get through a few cups
Absolutely.
of tea in that time, wouldn't you?
That's a good way of putting it, yeah.
Okay, so my next discovery now is there's this thing called 8-Bit Symphony Pro. Now, the first half of it was kickstarted a couple of months back. It's basically what they want to do is they want to bring some C64 music and have orchestras play it. And there's a Kickstarter for the second half at the moment, which is ending on the 6th of this month.
And Macro is a workbench application that records and replays keystrokes. It works on a fundamental level using key codes, so it captures all kinds of things, including the special keys, your Alt and Amiga and Control. I used it because every time I opened long documents on my Amiga 1200 here, I needed to do page down several times to get to the end in Cygnus Ed, and I was kind of getting frustrated with it. So I recorded the sequence once and then use it every time I opened a long document. It would just whiz down to the end for me. And I had another one to go back up to the top or to go up just a certain number of screens and stuff like that. It was handy at the time. It would work also, actually, I was thinking really well as a prop for a video too, if you wanted kind of unattended activity on the screen or something like that. And yeah, so I'm hoping I'll find more uses for this in the future.
It would probably be useful for Bear Ed, wouldn't it? Just tell it in about 139 years to go to where you want to do.
Very good. Yeah, in 139 in 8 years, click OK.
Well, I mean, it's perfect, isn't it? It's unattended. As you said, it's unattended, and by that point, you wouldn't be attending to it, wouldn't you?
Very good, very good.
Okay, so my last discovery was from yesterday, and Nostalgia Nerd did a video on the Mega 65 development kit, which there was only 100 available to order a few months back, and they're all sold out. I'm sure you guys are already aware of what the Mega 65 is.
Yep, it's a copy of C65. Last 8-bit C65 Commodore computer, actually, as far as I remember. Yeah. Then they reach absolutely astronomical amount of money on eBay, for example.
Yeah, they were only ever prototyped.
Yes, and never released, actually, you know.
Yeah.
So I think before releasing the full version for like a fully available version, they are trying to spread the development kit. I think it's a plexi case, as far as I remember, transparent one, and and the machine is really polished.
Yeah, I actually found out as well that they are adding an Amiga core to it, so that'll be quite interesting too.
Well, with with FPGA, you can add as many cores as you like. I think nowadays.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because I mean the ZX Spectrum Next is doing similar, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, the C65 was would have been a really nice machine, but clearly time was moving on.
It was just too late. I think they've had it. They had it released around 1989, 1990. About that time, the 8-bit market was already dead.
That's it. Yeah.
So it was a time. It was a time for a 16-bit machines. 500 was in the run. I think 3000 was released in 1990, and then if Commodore was really looking forward and looking into the future, they should have released actually AGA machine at that time, because the 1990 is a decline of EGA and the beginning of VGA actually era. So that's the case.
Yeah.
Although the thing is, Commodore weren't exactly kind of making the best decisions around the time of the 90s.
Or at any stage in their life, really.
Moving without the plan.
No, that's it.
Moving without traveling without moving.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. If I may describe it like that.
But yeah, it
plan, no idea.
Yeah. But yeah, it had even though it was an 8-bit machine, it had quite sophisticated hardware, and it had a nice blitter. So think is sort of a slightly cut down version of what's on the Amiga. And, so you can have like a lot of moving items on the screen and a lot of stuff going on. That's, way beyond anything else in the 8-bit kind of arena, So it was sort of a weird kind of in between the 8 and 16-bit kind of setups. But sure, it was, like you say, just a little bit too late at that stage.
Yeah, that's the thing, like A500 had been on the market since 1987. Atari STE with its DMA sound and very, very, very good graphics actually, imitating Amiga 500 was down there on the market for at least I think near a year. So launching a new 8-bit machine, but on the other hand, we had Sam Cooke. You remember, 1989.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was released like a machine that could replace actually ZX Spectrum. On the other side, Alan Sugar released its Amstrad Plus.
Yeah.
As well with the really great graphics and DMA sound as well.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows?
Yeah, true. Well, it'd be interesting to see what people make of it because there's with all the retro stuff going on, it's a nice machine by all accounts. I haven't worked on it myself, or I've worked on an emulator, but it seems to be a nice machine to work on, and it's good to see.
Yeah, because I was looking at getting one of the Maxi computers from Retro Computers, but now I'm looking at this, and apparently it's going to be in the ballpark of about 400 quid. So I'm kind of trying to work out if I want to still get one of the Maxis, or save my money and just get the Mega 65.
Especially if they make full-fledged keyboard and full-fledged casing, because just like I said, right now they've got the Plexi one, but if they can replicate actually, and I think they can, because I've seen some versions of it with a regular plastic keyboard, not keyboard, casing. So if they can get it right, then they will have some people interested in that machine. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah, because you can always 3D print the case as well. Because 3D printers are at the point now where they're a lot more affordable.
Yeah,
so
yeah, there are definitely some options.
And, you mentioned the Amstrad there a while back. I discovered just yesterday a machine called the Amstrad NC200, and it was a monochrome LCD display and a portable. So it's like an Amstrad keyboard. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
LCD.
Yeah.
It's honestly, for the work I'm doing at the moment, which if I can get by on Cygnus and Amiga for the work I'm doing at the moment, obviously one of those things would work quite well. And they write to DOS formatted floppies, which I could also use in the Amiga. So I'm seriously thinking of getting one of those for actual work.
That's mad.
Yeah, it's a pity the portable Commodore machine. What was that little one that's like the Commodore 64? The
SX. There was an attempt. As far as I remember, there is like a SX64 which tries to be
that's a luggable, really, yeah.
A portable, but bear in mind that it's 1984. That is like a portable machine. But as far as I remember, they had there is a prototype of a Commodore portable, like a laptop, like a really with an LCD screen and foldable, just like a modern laptop. But someone told at that time, from what I've read, someone told at that time to one of the CEO, to the CEO, the present CEO of Commodore, that no, those LCD screens are not the future of computing. And the guy who actually was previously, the CEO of Steelworking Mines or something like that, said, "Oh yes, let's just quit it. Let's just bust this project."
They owned an LCD factory, for God's sake, they had everything lined up. Yeah,
they owned the factory for their own chips as well.
Yeah,
and MOS.
They could have made an absolute killing with that, and they're like, no, someone decided because someone told him, or because he didn't like the guy, or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, some political reason.
Yeah.
And they could have made an absolute killing with that. But you're thinking of the Atari portfolio, I believe, Irla. That was the Atari, little portable Atari.
No, it's the
one that was
it's the
used in
Amstrad
Terminator 2.
NC200. It's an Amstrad machine. That Alan Sugar tested himself. He was part of the development, and he wrote part of the manual to teach people how to use it and stuff.
There is an Amstrad like that. I know.
Oh, yeah,
NC200.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is one.
I thought earlier said something about, there was an Atari one as well. Or did he?
Oh yeah, no, Amstrad I meant, but I would look into the Atari one too. The reason this one's good,
fair enough,
is the reason I like this one is because you can. Well, first of all, I like LCD screens these days because they really give my eyes a break when there's so much screen time happening since March, since the pandemic. Basically, there's been a screen in front of my face, so it's a great break to be on an LCD display, even if it's just for 20 minutes a day where I can type up a load of stuff and then transfer it to another machine. Then of course there's the Commodore, that portable Commodore machine that is it the SX? Is it? I know Mad Pete has one on his YouTube channel. It's cool. Mm-hmm. Actually that's a really good channel worth subscribing to as well, Mad Pete's. But so I'm actually thinking of getting one of those because the work I'm doing at the moment, and this my discovery, right, involves this. So basically I have to take an awful lot of notes and do a lot of study for a course I'm doing, and basically the course amounts in the end to text and audio recordings from lectures, and the text I've basically typed up, and the recordings I'm going to convert to IFF because I don't mind how big they are because I can put a memory card into the side of the Amiga. So I was looking at how do I get the audio onto the Amiga and make the entire course into an Amiga guide file basically, or something like that. So I found this article, given that the text bit is kind of covered, the sound part, Hoffman has made a post on the English Amiga board some time back explaining how to convert audio on your PC to IFF to use with Amiga Pro Tracker, so to make them IFF friendly. He talks about converting them to mono, the EQ operations you might want to do, limiting and resampling and 8-bit conversion. So it's really thorough, and it's actually designed. It's designed with a view of getting audio and music and stuff to good quality. So for what I'm doing is just speech. I should be able to get really good results following that. So that's a nice article there for anybody who's interested. It's definitely a novel way of converting your college notes. I hope I don't regret it later, that everything I have is on Amiga, but I can always fire up an emulator.
That's true.
Okay, so it's time for Ask Amiga.
Right, so this one's question is from Irla. And he says, why is word wrap such a pain in Signasid? And it works for newly typed text, but the previously typed text has to be manually fixed. Now, this is a common thing, unfortunately, with text editors, in that there are two general sort of schools of thought on them. And there's the old way of doing it, and there's the new way. And the old way is basically that the word wrap is wrapped to, it's either 40 or 80 columns, but more often you can set it to whatever you want kind of width. But for compatibility with old systems and even with old email clients that used to just work with text, with plain text, everything had to be formatted to 80 columns. Like Aminet, the readmes still have to be 80 columns wide. And if you go beyond that, then you can get rejected or the formatting looks terrible. So, it's just one of those things that a lot of old systems had this sort of rigid limit, and you had to basically put a line feed at the end of the 80 columns or your text just went missing off the end of the screen. You couldn't see it. So, so a lot of older editors work that way. And basically what would happen is they're trying to give you a modern kind of word wrap thing. So you start typing a word and then it realizes, the whole word isn't going to fit before it hits the right margin. So it moves the whole word down into the next line. So the really early editors probably just left half the word on line 1 and you continued on line 2 and that was that. But, so things like Signasid and stuff, they move the word down when you cross the margin. And that's kind of a nice, neat way of doing it. Now, you'll notice that if you do that and then you go and try to edit the previous line or, edit an old file, you realize what it's actually done there is press enter for you before the word. And it's put in a line break before that word that it moved down, and that's how it moved it down. So that makes it compatible with older setups and older software that will be using the rigid 80 column system. But it means that when you enter new words up above it, it just makes a mess of things, because then it pushes, either it makes the line too long for those systems, or it pushes the extra words onto the next line. So you end up with a long line, short line, long line, short line, and it's something that just like, it's a mess. So, yeah, unfortunately that's, if an editor is designed to work like that and to be compatible with those kind of systems, that is what it is. So, unfortunately, it looks like it's stuck like that. Now, there might be options for changing that, but I'm not aware of any options that there are for setting it up that way, unfortunately, or for changing that behavior. So, like, a really good editor would have both modes and you can switch between them. But what'll happen as well is, if you save in, let's say, the way a modern editor does it with wordflow is it reaches the end, but it doesn't put a new line in. It just puts the words on the next line. So what you have is basically a paragraph is equal to one single long line in the computer's memory. And it's just wrapping it so that you can see it. And you'll see that it changes, especially when you change the size of the window, that it will reflow the paragraph, and you end up with it filling the width of the screen or the window, no matter how many columns it is. That's the kind of the modern way of doing it. Obviously, feeding text that's done that way into an 80-column system isn't going to work very well, because all your text is going to go missing off the right-hand side, and each paragraph will be one line. And going the other way, then, if you have your stuff and it's all nice and formatted to 80 columns, and you load it into an editor that doesn't do 80-column stuff, then you're going to have rigid line breaks, and your new editor is going to end up with long lines and short lines again. And it just, it's not going to be happy either. So basically, if you're writing actual text for using arbitrary kind of, systems not rigidly set to 80 columns, you use a different editor, basically, where you can, where the word wrap isn't inserted, and it's only at the end of the paragraph when you press enter that it adds a new line. And that's kind of the way of doing it with, even like modern word processors like Word and Outlook and all that kind of stuff. They all work that way. And that's the way it should be really these days, because there's very little that actually has that 80 column limit these days. Older editors, especially if you're writing software for older Amigas and OS1 Amigas, stuff like that, you might want to do that. And if you're doing a lot of stuff on Telnet, BBSs, that kind of stuff, then you probably do want to be editing in 80 column mode. There are some old compilers that might have problems with stuff that isn't in 80 column mode. I don't know of any myself, but I know, there are some versions of, all in one languages, like old basics and stuff, that they're rigidly 80 column as well, and you need to use an 80 column editor to modify those files. But so that's basically it. I would say, check out the settings in SignaSed, but I don't think there's anything to switch the behavior. And in that case, just go for another editor.
Thanks, Rob. Okay, well, that's all from us for this month. Hello to everybody who has followed us online or in social media or joined groups or whatever, or gotten in touch by email. Don't forget that places are still available for Amiga Ireland Online in January. We're limiting the spaces to around 90 just to keep it manageable, because we're going to do something a bit different, and we want to make sure that it's as pleasant an experience as possible, but we'll still be releasing some highlights again later. And also, will we try and release a Christmas episode, guys, do you think, between now and then, a casual chat?
Sure. Why not?
You never know, you might hear from us again before the new year. I think you will, so we won't say Happy New Year yet to anybody. And also a massive thanks to Andrew for coming on and helping with the show today. It was a bit of crack, Andrew, and you brought some nice items actually with you, so appreciate that. I hope none of us
thank you
lose our job because of you. So until next time.
Music was by Virtual Dimensions and Banjo Gaioli.
Feel free to get in touch with us on social media or email info@amigausers.ie.
And this episode, as always, was edited by Anthony Jarvis.
And the song of the month this month is the Supercars 2 theme. Originally by Barry Leach, this time arranged by Deck Fast Loaders.
Okay, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.